Going off the title of this segment, you already know everyone on this list is considered a genius. But unfortunately, all of these folks certainly didn't use their smarts for good. From corporate giants to mass manipulations to cruel killers, we've got people on this list that earn the title of evil genius over and over again. Get ready because things get dark really quickly. Hey guys, I'm your host Rachel Fisher, and today we're covering our top 10 scary geniuses who turn to the dark side. Coming in at number 10, we have the Walton family. Imagine getting into a car accident that leaves you injured for the rest of your life, and then getting a settlement so you can live and survive with said injury, and then having that money being taken away from you from the place that you work at. Yeah, sounds like an awful thing for a multi-million-dollar company like Walmart to do, but guess what? That's exactly what the Walton family did to Deborah Schenck. Sam Walton and his brother began Walmart in 1962, and though it's a great place to shop for Easter chocolate and TVs, it's not a great place to work. Sam and his brother designed the company in such a way that essentially employees weren't essential and they're just commodities for the company to own. Not, I don't know, people. So Deborah Schenck was a shelf stalker at Walmart, and she suffered a severe head injury that had left her brain damaged when she was hit by a semi-truck in the 2000s. Fortunately, she reached a $700,000 settlement with the trucking company involved, and after legal fees, it was around $417,000 left to help support her through her life. But then Walmart was like, wait a minute, we'll take that. Lee Scott, the CEO at the time, decided to enforce the healthcare policy set down by Sam and his family. They sued her for the $470,000 they spent on her medical care, and the court ruled in their favor, essentially leaving her without any support. A clause in the healthcare program states that Walmart is allowed to recoup any medical expenses if their employee receives a settlement. Yeah. Just let that settle in. Fortunately though, the people called out Lee Scott and Walmart, vilified Walmart, and at the risk of losing the company, they allowed Deborah, who was forever changed by a tragic accident, to keep the money. What are we supposed to say, Walmart? Good job? Coming in at number 9, we have Bernie Madoff and the Ponzi scheme. Now, you've probably heard of pyramid schemes at some point in your life. Get rich quick by selling this lipstick or that frying pan and get other people to sell with you so you make money. But you don't really. What makes these schemes so scary is how seductive they are in convincing people to follow them. In reality, these schemes are only designed to make one person rich, which is, of course, the guy at the top of the pyramid. The guy at the top of the pyramid who convinced hundreds of people to do all the work for them. Imagine that. Now for investments. The Ponzi scheme was a fraudulent investing scam with a similar idea. It promised high rates of return with little risk for investors and used new investor funds to pay the backers. The man who executed this plan was named Bernard Lawrence Madoff, an American financier whose fraudulent scheme took tens of billions of dollars out of thousands of investors. By depositing client funds into an account, he used that money to pay other clients who wanted to cash out and just kept attracting new investors to keep funds up. He did this under the guise of a real strategy called split strike conversion for 17 years until the crash of 2008, where he couldn't sustain it anymore. He finally confided in his sons what he had been doing, and his sons were like, "Dad, what the heck?" and turned him in the next day. That's a lot. In 2009, 71-year-old Bernie confessed to 11 federal felony counts: security fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, perjury, and money laundering, adding up to a 150-year sentence. Now, as far as evil geniuses go, that's a sentence to be proud of, but imagine if Bernie had used his intellect for good. So many people could have been so rich right now. That would have been great. Next up at number 8, we have greed personified. If you guessed Jeff Bezos, you're right. Jeff Bezos is the genius behind the most convenient and irresistible shopping outlet in the world, Amazon.com. You could still get things during COVID on time, which just goes to show how efficient it is and actually how well executed it is. And Jeff Bezos is the man behind it all. This guy has a net worth of $163 billion and is the richest man in America. His only contribution to charity has been $2 billion. I mean, that's a lot. But in relation to his net worth, that equates to around $1,200 for the average family to give to charity in a year. Yeah, that's not nothing either. But I'll admit, Jeff is a multi-billion billionaire. If you earned $1 a second, it would take you 31.5 years to earn $1 billion. $1 a second for 31.5 million years. Oh, that's some perspective. Other billionaires like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who, by the way, who together make up Bezos' fortune, have started foundations on their wealth and continue to make donations of around like $30 billion at a time. They, among others, have also signed the Giving Pledge, which is an honest promise to donate the majority of their extreme wealth to charity, because I don't know, what would you do with like that much money? Look, who am I to say what you should do with your money, okay? That's fine. So let's name other reasons why he's on this list. 1, he makes his employees pay taxes to him. 2, he lowered their wages. 3, he doesn't give bathroom breaks, so they have to get inventive. He attacks small book publishers. He also has a maniacal laugh. The list goes on. Did I mention he also looks like Lex Luthor? Yeah. Alrighty, here we go. We're gearing up, boys. We're coming in at number 7. This next evil genius has an IQ of 167 and pulled off one of the most notorious bombing sprees in history. After entering Harvard when he was no older than 15, completed his PhD in mathematics at 25, and even became the youngest employed professor at the University of California. Yeah, so needless to say, this guy, a genius. Like, what a promising start. His potential knew no bounds, and yet guess what he decided to do with it. Your first hint is the fact that he's even on this list to begin with. So, between 1978 and 1975, Ted Kaczynski was responsible for the bombings of scientific universities, airlines, and small businesses. He targeted them because he believed they were responsible for the over-industrialization of society and the destruction of nature. So he loved nature. You see, teaching at a university was too much for Kaczynski, so he retired to a cabin in the woods with the desire to live off the land and learn how to be sustainable, thus sparking his passion to protect nature and the deadly protests that followed. Despite his genius, he wasn't very good at constructing effective detonations, which was a good thing in a way, as many more lives could have been taken had he been actually good at it. Over 17 years, Ted sent 16 bombs, killed 3 people, and wounded 23 people, and was sentenced to 8 life terms when the FBI finally caught up with him. Coming in at number 6, this next guy is likely to hit home with a bunch of people considering what's going on right now. I know all of us, including me, are begging for our vaccine appointments. Imagine if someone decided to take a life-saving vaccine, buy it, and raise the price to make it just out of reach of all the people who need it. I introduce you to the pure scum that is Martin Shkreli. Martin Shkreli is the creator and founder of Turing Pharmaceuticals, and his company acquired the 62-year-old medicine called Daraprim in 2015. Daraprim is used to treat a life-threatening parasitic disease and prevents toxoplasmosis in patients with HIV, malaria, cancer, anyone basically with a lower immune system. So pretty damn important. Overnight, Shkreli made the price rise from $13.50 to $750, making it unattainable to many who needed it. A 5,000% increase overnight. Despite the fact it only costs around $1 to make, Shkreli's argument for the increase was that he wanted to use the money to invest in creating a new and better drug. Yeah. Sure, dude. Prior to pharmaceuticals, Martin became a hedge fund manager by the time he was 17. Yes. He also skipped a couple grades. Yeah, I guess he's a genius. Ooh. In his 20s, he caught some attention for encouraging food and drug companies not to approve the drugs he was shorting in the market. So, for those of you who know about GameStop, this is the kind of guy they were trying to teach a lesson to. The price of the drug still remains the same today, and Martin is now in prison for fraud. Good. Coming in at number 5. So this next one isn't necessarily one evil person, it's actually an entire evil family. If you've watched all the good documentaries out there, then you've probably heard of the opioid crisis with the Sackler family involved and the name Purdu Pharma. The Sacklers are known as one of America's richest families, though the source of their approximate $13 billion net worth is cloudy, to say the least. The family runs a private company called Purdu Pharma, which is based in Connecticut. It developed a very familiar and terrifying drug called Oxycontin. Yeah, you know where this is going. Oxycontin contains oxycodone, a relative to heroin and 2 times more powerful than morphine. But what a breakthrough! It was hailed as a medical miracle, a revolutionary painkiller, and shoveled in around $35 billion for Purdu Pharma, despite the fact it's derived from one of the most addictive and deadly narcotics in the world, in 1996, Purdu decided to launch a marketing campaign to shatter this image. Narcotics aren't bad, opioid addiction is exaggerated, Oxycontin is safe, don't worry. Their catchphrase was that Oxycontin was the drug to start with and to stay with, and many did all the way to their grave. Since 1999, 200,000 people have died due to an Oxycontin overdose. Yeah, sounds really safe. But everybody trusted the Purdu Pharma, especially considering all the philanthropic campaigns the Sacklers ran and how generous they are. There's just simply too much to unpack about the Sackler family. There's so much to talk about and I don't have time. The way they balance a mask of generosity on top of sinister dealings is a whole new kind of evil genius. Coming in at number 4, we have Pablo Escobar, because, well, Pablo Escobar. Just kidding, I'll tell you why. If you haven't already binged Narcos, then I'll give you some insight. Pablo Escobar controlled the Medellin cartel and went on to control the distribution of 80% of the cocaine sold in the US and redefine the narcotics trade. At one point, he needed to buy $2,500 worth of rubber bands a month just so he could keep stacking all the cash that he had, and hopefully he just bathed in it. At one time, he made nearly $20 million a day. Needless to say, when it came to business, he was a genius and accumulated a net worth of $25 billion. He was even mentioned in Forbes. He made sure his product was pure and high quality. He knew how to identify potential markets. He united his competitors for his benefit. He created his own distribution routes, all while maintaining a squeaky clean image as Colombia's Robin Hood. He rose from the ghettos of Bogota only to make himself a living legend that even benevolent financiers can admire. To a point. He did sell cocaine and kill a lot of people after all. A highly addictive, destructive, and illegal narcotic. Once again, there is so much to say about Pablo Escobar. His shrewd business maneuvers, his charm, his intelligence, all woven between his malicious and deadly endeavors. Man, did this guy make a good villain. All right, we're about to come up to our top 3 evil geniuses. If you like this video so far, give us a like and a subscribe, and leave comments down below because we love that too. And we'll just keep giving more of what you want, I guess. Coming in at number 3, we have Henry Howard Holmes. No relation to Sherlock Holmes, though he did admire the guy and changed his last name so he could emulate him in some way. Sadly, this man isn't fictional though. If he was, I'm sure Sherlock Holmes would have relished to take this guy down. This man was pure evil, paired with an excellent mind. If you think Jack the Ripper was bad, just wait. Holmes was another grade skipper, finishing high school when he was just 16 and earning his doctorate in medicine and surgery by the age of 23. On top of that, he was drop-dead gorgeous, blonde, blue eyes, charming, and could dazzle anyone into doing what he wanted. He could have been a great doctor, but doctor and evil go too well together, and he would soon be known for the Castle of Murder, or the Murder Castle, whatever one you want. You know the film Saw? Yeah. After working at a pharmacy for years and swindling money, he finally raised enough money to build his Castle of Terror. It was essentially a massive labyrinth disguised as shops on the bottom and little apartments on the top in 1800s Chicago. Each level was booby-trapped with trapdoors, disorienting mazes, and chutes that would drop its victims right into the basement. But you didn't want to be in the basement because what awaited you there was vats of acid, quicklime used for decaying corpses, and a crematorium where he would, He also took out insurance policies on his victims to fund his macabre endeavors. Historians still debate how many people he killed, but currently the number sits around 200 people. Coming in at number 2, Jim Jones. I apologize ahead of time if you didn't want to think about Jim Jones today or learn about Jim Jones today, but you clicked on this video, so I guess we're here now, so. Ever heard of the phrase, don't drink the Kool-Aid? Well, if you hadn't, you will now. Jim Jones was the self-proclaimed messiah of the People's Temple cult in a San Francisco-based evangelist group in the 1970s. He is responsible for the Jonestown massacre, which resulted in the mass suicide of 900 people. In 1978, this guy manipulated 900 people to drink cyanide-laced Kool-Aid or fruit punch, whatever you want to call it. He adopted the name The Prophet and became obsessed with power, convincing hundreds of people to follow him all the way to Guyana to set up a commune. He confiscated their passports, millions of dollars, and even threatened his followers with blackmail, beatings, and death. He also staged rehearsals for the mass, which eventually became a live performance. influence. Okay, it's one thing to do awful, evil things yourself, but the fact that he was able to convince so many people to do one thing without question makes him one of the most evil geniuses to ever exist. Speaking of people doing evil things without questioning it, last but not least, we have Josef Mengele. One of the most horrendous periods in history, so bad we can't even say the leader of this group's name on YouTube, which I think is really weird. He's not Voldemort. In World War II Germany, evil bred evil, and yes, there was the leader, but there were many who were responsible for some of the worst acts in history, just beneath him. Josef Mengele is one such person. Remember how I said evil and doctor goes so well together? Well, this guy takes the cake. Again, he could have saved lives, but instead, he destroyed them en masse. Josef ran a program in Auschwitz-Birkenau that focused on the inhumane experimentation on sets of twins. I can't even stomach to even say the things he did. They were so horrendous, so I won't go into too much detail. For Mengele, the experiments were all about eugenics. Eugenics is the practice of improving humanity by eliminating whatever traits they deem are undesirable. He would experiment on each twin by introducing disease, injuries, disfigurements, all under the guise of helping the endurance of humankind. He was also known as the Angel of Death of the brutal selection of prisoners who went to their deaths in gas chambers. He was seen as a genius and indispensable to the advancement of the Aryan race, but the horrors he inflicted will haunt the world for generations to come. I can't think of a worse reason to be the number one of anything. And that was our top 10 scary geniuses who joined the dark side. Let us know if you think we missed any and join us for a little comment shout at the end. Tripod190 asks, did you know if there were a vid of the shark eating the chickens and put it in reverse, it's a nice story of a shark giving chickens to farmers? No, I didn't. But now I do. And I can't unsee that. So thank you, Tripod190. Moonbeam says, my cat back in the 80s, he ate some string and then he pooped some of it. And he pooped some of it out and then we pulled the rest out. He was in a little pain, but he was okay afterwards. I'm really glad he was okay afterwards, but man, that's unfortunate. I don't, like imagine seeing. That's great. I wish I featured that in my Dark Things Found in Animals video. That would have been really good. Opportunity missed. Dang it. Raphael Hadwijoeo says, there was a toilet in my school that nobody went to, and there was a ghost of a crying baby inside. Every time you turned off the lights, there was the sound of a baby crying. That's like all the people at school who used to do that. I had friends do that all the time too. There was a bathroom in grade 3, and a bunch of girls did the Bloody Mary tradition in there, and I was terrified to go to the bathroom. I would hold it all day because I didn't want to go. And because there was like one girl who would just like stand outside the washroom and be like, oh my gosh, she's there. Like if you were in the stall, she would like go in with you and be like, oh my gosh, she's here, get out. And I'd be like paralyzed on the chair. Anyways, so this is why like I'm never gonna say the name I just said 100 times. It's like Beetlejuice. Nah. But yeah, I get it. Jennifer says, I have met people who think that Atlantis didn't actually sink under the ocean, but instead rose into the sky. They believe this because of so many reports of people having found supposed evidence of Atlantis from all over the world. They say that's the only explanation. They also say that Atlantis is the floating city that has been photographed in the clouds in China so many times. I don't personally subscribe to that theory, but it is an interesting one. Nonetheless, I agree. Noon. Talk nerdy to us, Rachel. Fan self. Part 2, please. I'll try. I'll do what I can, I guess. Bite Me says, Rachel, stop shouting. No! I won't. Thank you very much. Nigel Waters. Anyone else think Rachel's delivery of the word cannibalism was animated and excited? I don't know. Kind of creepy, new girl, but she's really hot, so... I don't know what to say to that, so we're just gonna move on. Let's keep going. Zuzu! Spoiler alert, Rachel Fisher is #1 for assassinating my heart. With her beauty and amazing hosting skills. Thanks, girl. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Thank you for being so nice. Oh, there's more. Oh wait, there's actually a comment. Prince Charles says, heck yeah, bro. Crotch Whistle Purple says, you must have just hit puberty. Nice. Next one is from Mia Davison. Hi Rachel, you have quickly became one of my favorite hosts. Thank you. And then thank you so much, Mia. That's so nice. And then there's a comment. I'm some loner says, she's just talking. You're right. I am just talking. Why am I even here? What am I doing? I don't know either. So I'm just doing me, doing the best I can, trying my best, eating food every now and then. It's good, right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, that was a comment shout out. Thanks so much for watching and for commenting. If you have any questions, always leave them in the comments because we're always looking for them and we love answering them. So I will see you all later. Thank you. Bye.